Legal matter? Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 1221 N Street, Lincoln.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Are you ready to make a difference this holiday season? Schwiezo Construction and TMCO are hosting a diaper drive December 5th through the 19th. They're collecting diapers, pull-ups, and wipes to benefit TMCO Prep Academy, the Nebraska Diaper Bank, and Forward. Drop off your donations at Schwiezo Construction, 93.7 The Ticket, Pine Lake Self-Storage, or White Elm Brewery. Together, we care for our community. For more information, please visit Schwiezo Construction's website or Facebook page today.
Get ready, because everything is on sale for one day only at Baumgart's. This Saturday, December 20th, take 12% off all items store-wide. That's right. If it's in the store, it's on sale. Toys, tools, decor, apparel, farm supplies, whatever you need, you'll save. But don't wait. Doors are open only until 8 p.m. It's the Baumgart's Everything Sale. This Saturday only. Some exclusions apply. See a store associate for details.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Hi, I'm Scott Miller, Business Development Officer at Midwest Bank's Lincoln branches. As a lifelong Lincolnite with over 30 years of experience in financial management, I'm here to help your business grow and succeed. My focus is building strong relationships with businesses and clients across Lincoln. Because at Midwest Bank, we believe banking is about people, not just numbers. Visit us at midwest.bank or stop by one of our Lincoln locations. Your community, your bank. Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today. We'll see mostly sunny skies and it will be breezy. An afternoon high around 49. Tonight, increasing cloud cover, a continued breeze below around 35. And tomorrow, we'll see probably sunny skies and a light breeze. An afternoon high near 47. I'm meteorologist Kyle Bucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in to the Corner 3. Taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NAAC to the Pac-12. The WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
That's right. Welcome in. It is the Corner 3 here, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. I am indeed Austin Oerman, live on the radio. Again, good to be back. Good to be rolling here with your show dedicated to college hoops. Obviously, a lot going on in that realm. Plenty to talk about throughout the course of the show tonight. We will carve out some time to talk some Nebraska, North Dakota. Maybe not the marquee game of the weekend for the general college basketball populace, but certainly plenty interesting enough for us to talk about here on the show. Lots to get to in this first segment here. What we're going to do is go over some comments from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver regarding the NBA Cup and the likelihood that it could be coming to a storied college venue near you. We'll talk about that, and I'll give you my list, my top 5 and some honorable mentions where I would like to see the NBA Cup finals go if that's the route the NBA decides to head. Was a week late on this, had a really great episode last week. Let me shout this out before we really get going on the Nebraska men's basketball defense. What is it? An overview generally of the schematics behind it. Who are the personnel involved in making it work? What are the numbers that stand out regarding Nebraska men's basketball's defense? What gives you maybe some hope that it can continue? What gave me some pause that, hey, this might come back down to earth a little bit? That was last week's episode. It was a really fun one. Took an hour plus to get through all my thoughts on Nebraska men's basketball's defense. I'll definitely make sure to link that one in the show notes below because you have a Nebraska team off to a historic start, a 15-game winning streak. They sit right now at 11-0. 2 non-conference games to go. North Dakota and New Hampshire are the teams that Nebraska will close out the non-con with. We'll talk more about the weekend that is coming up for us in college hoops at the bottom of the show. But until then, what college arena would you most like to see the NBA Cup finals go to? Let me know. 402-464-5685. That is our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line. Before we get going, let's set the stage. Here is the clip of Adam Silver on ESPN talking about the NBA Cup finals. And this is where the context is for his comments about bringing it to some college campuses.
I think, we're making some changes. I think you already know we're going to go back to home markets for the semifinal games because I think the teams, in a way, the reason we didn't do that the first time out is teams were worried they wouldn't be able to sell the tickets on short notice. Now that they're seeing that their fans care about the cup and they want the benefit of a home crowd and the energy that's there. So I like that idea. And the other thing is we've loved our experience in Vegas. We're talking with Amazon Prime about whether it makes sense to maybe go to some unique locations for the final game. They've suggested, for example, some like storied college arenas. So we're just looking at other ways we could do this.
There you have it. So Amazon Prime, who airs the Cup final, really good one, by the way, between the Spurs and the Knicks in the pro ranks. Fantastic highlights both ways. Amazon Prime pushing for some unique venues. Now, Las Vegas stands out as unique given that there is not an NBA team there. Of course, the WNBA's Aces reside in Las Vegas, but right now there's no NBA team in Vegas. Obviously, a great event city, has the infrastructure to support an event such as the NBA Cup semifinals and finals. But you heard it right there. The semifinals for the NBA Cup will take place at home venues, so the higher seed, the better, higher ranked team will end up with a home game in the semis before in the finals they're looking at where they could potentially move it to, including, as Amazon Prime suggested to the league office, could it move to some unique storied college venues? And I think when you think about the unique venues, the storied venues in college basketball, the few that didn't make my list for a variety of reasons, the Palestra obviously hosts to Penn men's and women's basketball in the Philly Five, kind of regarded as, the birthplace of big time college hoops. It's hosted, I believe, more postseason games in college hoops than any other venue, obviously being the host for all sorts of stuff, regional finals, first rounds. The Palestra obviously has a bunch of basketball history in it and has ties to the NBA, obviously being right there in Philly. The 76ers just down the street. You got the NBA Atlantic Division anchored up there, and certainly easy to get into and out of. It's homey, it's comfortable, can get loud, can get rocking. I think there's a lot working in the Palestra's favor. I would not be against it, but it just misses my list. I'll tell you why coming up here. Allen Fieldhouse down in Lawrence, Kansas, kind of out of the way, kind of out of the beaten path. Really only Oklahoma City would have a direct shot at it. Maybe the Denver Nuggets would as well. But I think Allen Fieldhouse is just a little too remote, even if it is a fantastic basketball environment. And I can vouch for Allen Fieldhouse personally. Only been there once. It was when Nebraska made the trip down, and what would that have been? 2016, 17, 18? I want to say 2016 is when it was. I think I was a freshman in college when I went down there with a Jayhawk fan buddy of mine. Off the charts environment, off the charts energy for a game that Kansas ended up winning handily. But you do feel the history. It's cheesy, it's corny, but it's true. You get a look at the original rules of basketball. You know what the Kansas men's basketball program has accomplished, what it's meant to the sport of basketball, for better or for worse, really, in the last 10, 15 years. But Allen Fieldhouse, I think, would make a lot of sense from the history side. Logistically, how does a town like Lawrence, support two NBA teams in terms of the travel for a one-off game? I'm less sold on it, which is why it's off my list. The Dean Smith Dome, obviously in Carolina, North Carolina, home of that program, makes a lot of sense with the Michael Jordan tie. Big enough arena, could hold a lot of fans, easy to get to from RDU. But I had to leave it off the list because of my personal proclivities. The Kennel, Gonzaga, home of the Bulldogs. Mark Few has put plenty of guys in the NBA, has his ties to USA basketball. But again, in Spokane, Washington, maybe a bit remote, maybe a bit out of the way. Now, if you're bringing basketball back to Seattle and you want a reason to get fans excited, hey, that's a pretty big deal. I do think the other issue maybe with something like the Palestra or the Kennel in this case, and even the Carrier Dome at Syracuse, right? That holds a bunch of people. I don't love the Carrier Dome for college basketball. I don't think it would be amplified by pro basketball. But for those three arenas specifically, more coastal, kind of in the corners of the country, I think that would maybe be an unfair advantage, right? Vegas, yes, certainly, mountain range, mountain region favors the West Coast team. It's slightly less travel, but you kind of know what you're getting with Vegas. And I know NBA teams travel all the time, but I do think putting it so far removed in a corner like that many time zones difference, I just don't think it would necessarily work. The one that I think would be kind of intriguing, but isn't storied in the same way as some of these others are KFC Yum Center in Louisville. Big arena, holds plenty of people, has hosted some pretty major events before, has the infrastructure to do it, but I don't think Louisville men's basketball is such a power, such a perennial contender that, we got to get this one to the City of Roses. No, I'm not so sold on that. Madison Square Garden doesn't count, obviously being home of the Knicks. I know St. John's plays its home games there, but I didn't even consider MSG. A lot of NBA games played there already. Certainly more an NBA venue than a college one, although it has some college ties. So those are my honorable mentions, the ones that I at least considered but didn't end up putting on my list. At number 5 for me, this one, obviously the geography concerns come into play, but I think there's enough history, uniqueness, and story when it comes to college sports, and even some NBA ties as well. Pauley Pavilion, home of UCLA, now presented by Westcom Financial, right? Site of numerous illustrious events. When you read the UCLA website is what it says. The primary facility for UCLA men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and then women's gymnastics. Pauley Pavilion has been around since the June of 1965, named for Edwin W. Pauley, the key donor to that. Has recently undergone a renovation. Well, not recent as much anymore. Got done in 2012. Would hold 13,800 spectators. And I think the California footprint makes sense, right? Which NBA player doesn't like to go to LA, hang out there for probably a couple days before, and then again in the immediate aftermath as well. So I think with all the ties, all the money tied up there in Southern California, with all the history in college basketball, Pauley Pavilion makes more sense. I think that the fact that it is in California, the league is familiar with it. You do have that time zone consideration come into play, but I think it's a pretty good mix of college basketball history with NBA conveniences right there at hand. I do think that Westwood would come into play for the NBA as it searches for the next home for the NBA Cup final. Number 4 on my list, a little further down than you might have expected, but this is where I have Cameron Indoor Stadium. And this is one that Shams Charania of ESPN specifically shouted out as an option from the league. I think it makes a lot of sense when you remember that Adam Silver is a Duke guy, not just a fan of the program, but a graduate of Duke University. So, okay, could he throw his alma mater a bone? Hey, here's an NBA Cup. The other positives I think that would lead you to consider Cameron Indoor is, number one, Duke has really moved the needle. Most watched program in college basketball, extremely well followed. They would do a fantastic job of promoting the event. You would host this NBA Cup final game right around Christmas break if the schedule holds, and Duke has a relatively lengthy Christmas break. They looked a little rusty in their eventually comfortable win over Lipscomb, but you could time it out right, have Duke schedule around the probably 3 days that you would have the NBA Cup circus in town. Obviously, major airport there with Raleigh Durham. Pros continue to the fact there's a lot of Duke representation in the NBA. Odds are good that you would get a Duke player in the NBA Cup final. I mean, it's Kentucky with 27 active players and Duke with 26 in the NBA right now. The only schools with more than 12 players, or more than 15 players, I think it is, in the league. Yeah, more than 15. UCLA, fourth on that list with 14 active NBA players that are alums of the university. Gonzaga has 12. You look at schools like Arizona and USC, even Michigan and Kansas in there with double digits. But there's a pretty clear-cut big two. Kentucky and Duke, 53 roster spots claimed by Wildcats and Blue Devils. And I'm sure we will circle back to one of those teams. There's a spoiler for you coming up here. Cameron Indoor, smaller arena, less than 10,000 fans could be in it, but ESPN has no issues getting in and out of there. I'm sure Amazon Prime could work something out as well. The issue is, again, maybe a smaller arena, being there at RDU. I think it's more about the recent ties that Duke would have to the NBA, even maybe leaning a little bit on Mike Krzyzewski's relationship with USA Basketball. Obviously, haven't been the longtime head coach. One of his former players now helping manage and run USA Basketball in Grant Hill. So I think that there's a real argument to be made for the history of Cameron Indoor, all the great players and games that have taken the court and been played in there. You look at the recent history, Duke's still a wildly successful modern program, gets plenty of eyeballs, would know how to manage the media spotlight. I think there's a really good argument to be made for Cameron Indoor, but I love that it's at the top of the NBA's list, but I do think that there may be a few arenas that would better suit all the needs for the NBA, including, how about this one here? Hinkle Fieldhouse. Yeah, number 3 on my list, the home of the Butler Bulldogs. You could consider Assembly Hall here. I wouldn't blame you for it. Simon Scout Assembly Hall, obviously home of the Indiana Hoosiers. Hinkle might be more iconic than Assembly Hall, maybe. Obviously, Indiana and Butler aren't majorly comparable as basketball programs, but I do think, if it's just basketball in 49 other states, if it's something different in Indiana, you got to have representation here. I don't think you're going to Mackey. I don't think there's the history there. Certainly more modern. Purdue's built into a juggernaut really in the last 5 years. You consider it, but I don't think that the West Lafayette necessarily moves the needle or has the NBA style infrastructure. Bloomington, probably not as well, even if Indiana carries some more basketball pedigree. Are you going to go to Terre Haute, Indiana, and play at Indiana State just for the Larry Bird factor? Probably not. So if you're going to throw a bone to the middle of the country, where basketball, is supposed to mean more in Indiana, I think you're between renting out Lucas Oil Stadium from the Indianapolis Colts, but that's not really a college venue. College has used it. Duke has won a national championship there, so I am all for it. But I do think if you're looking for a historic college basketball venue, I think you got to give the nod to Hinkle Fieldhouse. I really do. Again, maybe not the largest environment, but if you're just reading from Butler's website, and known as Indiana's basketball cathedral, Hinkle Fieldhouse has reigned as one of the nation's great sports arenas for more than 9 decades. The classic facility was constructed in 1928 and has stood the test of time. You have a pretty decent capacity in there as well, down to 9,100, which is not bad. Again, maybe a little bit of a knock if the NBA really wants to sell tickets. The recent remodel ended up knocking it down. It's just a cool look. You have the windows on either end. And again, I think it's probably the easiest of those to get to and the most attainable. So I will have Hinkle Fieldhouse at my number 3 position, because at number 2, this is where I go to Rupp Arena. Massive arena. 23,500 capacity. NBA would love the opportunity to sell, about that many tickets. Kentucky, certainly a big program in its own right. Arguably the most historic program in college basketball history. All the titles and everything that's gone into that. No pro NBA team in Kentucky. I think that's a big selling point for the Wildcats as well, who, like I just mentioned, have the most representation of any college in the NBA now, with 27 players in the NBA. So I think Rupp Arena would put on a good show, has the capacity, has the NBA ties as well. And I think that ultimately Rupp Arena would be my first choice of any specific college venue. But my number one, and this might be a cop-out, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a fun idea. My number one for where the NBA should go in terms of college venues would be the closest college gym to the most recent NBA Cup champion. Here's the logic. Okay, the Knicks just won it. Can you use MSG as a cop-out? Sure, if you want to. Plenty of other, colleges and universities in New York City that they could use. Maybe the Knicks are a bad example. But imagine, say, the Thunder win the NBA Cup, and you get an NBA Cup final game at Duty Noble or at Gallagher-Ibra Arena. I think that'd be pretty sick. Let's say San Antonio would have won. You play UTSA's gym, or shoot, maybe you size up and you go to Baylor. Wouldn't that be pretty fun, right? I'm sure there's plenty of Spurs fans there in Waco. Or, maybe you win it in Dallas and you go to SMU, play the Moody Center, potentially. I know there's not a perfect fit for a lot of these, but what if you, let's say the Jazz, for some reason, get hot and win the NBA Cup, and they go play at BYU's arena, Marriott Center in Provo? Wouldn't that be pretty sick? I think that'd be pretty cool. What if the Warriors win the NBA Cup and you get to go play in San Francisco's arena, the house that Bill Russell built? I could go on and on about this, where NBA games, I think, I've never been to one. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're accessible enough for these local fan bases. But I think this would be a great way to involve maybe the next generation, where sometimes it feels like there's a divide between the college fandom and the pro fandom. I'm sure there are plenty of, crossover Oklahoma State and Oklahoma City basketball fans. I'm sure it's the same for the Sooners as well. But what a great way, to get these NBA teams involved with the community, go someplace a little bit different, do something cool for the university, maybe form a partnership of some sort, right? You think about what, say, the Kansas City Royals do, with their Husker night, their Wildcat night, their Jayhawk night, their Tiger night, so on and so forth. It would be really hard to plan for this because you never know when your team's going to make the semis and have a chance to play. It would take a while, I'm sure, to hammer out the logistics on such short notice. But imagine Oklahoma City getting a chance to play in front of those fired up fans at those venues. Imagine, the Bucks won an NBA Cup and they, I don't know, go to, I think them and Marquette have shared Fiserv Forum before, but what if they go play at the Kohl Center in Madison? Wouldn't that be pretty sick to get the Bucks in town for that? What if Denver won it and they went to go play at Colorado's arena, for example? Or what if they say, shoot, Omaha's not that far away, or Lincoln's not that far away. Let's take one of those two arenas over for a night. Again, timing would work out pretty well for these college gyms when you think about the timing of Christmas break. So I think it'd be a fantastic community relations move for the NBA to, yes, go to these storied college venues, the ones that have a long-standing relationship with the NBA because of the history of putting players in the league, but also getting to engage probably a slightly different subset of local fans and give teams something to chase. Hey, we have a home game in the semis, but since we won last year's Cup, let's push forward again. Obviously, there's the big financial incentive, but man, if we get a chance to play for another in-season championship and do it in front of our home fans, not have to take such a long trip, I think that would be a really, really fun idea for the NBA to consider. No, not all these arenas are going to move the needle like a Cameron or a Dean Dome or a Fog or a Rupp or a Pauley. And there's certainly got to be room for the NBA to engage in those spaces. But man, I just think about the Thunder playing at Gallagher-Iba, or, the Hawks going to Georgia Tech's arena, something like that. Similar fan base, probably a little bit different. I think there's a lot of wiggle room for the NBA to get creative and go to some really incredible venues and see what they look like when it gets on and popping. So that's my number one, is the closest college gym to the most recent NBA Cup champion, rounding out my top 5. Rupp Arena, Hinkle Fieldhouse, Cameron Indoor, and Pauley Pavilion. When we get back, we review last week's AP Top 25, because why? That is the magic number of 12. The top 12 teams in the Week 6 AP poll is your most likely group of college basketball champions. We'll discuss the history, give you my thoughts on those 12 contenders as we continue the Corner 3. All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
The holidays are here, and there's every reason to make Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina part of your plans. Are you heading to a Nebraska basketball game? Stop at Tipsy Tina's before or after for delicious tacos. Meeting friends for drinks for an ugly sweater get-together? Enjoy Tipsy Tina's variety of margaritas. And if you're not sure about what to get for a gift this year, Tipsy Tina's gift cards are always a great idea. Don't forget about the event space at Salt next door to Tipsy Tina's, all of them located in the Haymarket at 8th and Q.
Here at Midwest Bank, we want to thank all the generous donors who helped us make our 2025 turkey dinner for schools a success. Thanks to the generosity, we raised enough money to provide 191 families across 6 different schools in Lincoln with a full Thanksgiving meal. With your support, we've made Thanksgiving Day for these families a little brighter. We want to wish everyone a healthy and happy Thanksgiving. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Are you ready to make a difference this holiday season? Schwiezo Construction and TMCO are hosting a diaper drive December 5th through the 19th. They're collecting diapers, pull-ups, and wipes to benefit TMCO Prep Academy, the Nebraska Diaper Bank, and Forward. Drop off your donations at Schwiezo Construction, 93.7 The Ticket, Pine Lake Self-Storage, or White Elm Brewery. Together, we care for our community. For more information, please visit Schwiezo Construction's website or Facebook page today.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Omaha Steaks is the official sponsor of tailgating. From legendary burgers to mouth-watering steaks, deli-style franks, and so much more, you'll elevate your next game day get-together with America's original butcher. Now you have the chance to be the ultimate gift giver this holiday season. Visit omahasteaks.com/theticket for 16 free Omaha Steaks smash burgers on your order of $129 or more. Plus 50% off site-wide. That's 16 free smash burgers at omahasteaks.com/theticket. See the website for details. Happy holidays from Omaha Steaks.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details. You take the compliments. Book your graze table today at GrazingGouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at HamiltonIsBusiness.com.
Happy holidays, Nebraska. The Christmas event of the year is coming to the Lead Center. A Christmas Story, the musical, with all your favorite funny gags. The Fragile leg lamp, the Red Ryder BB gun, the ridiculous pink bunny suit, and more. All the fun of the movie, now with singing and dancing as seen on Broadway, with music by Pasek and Paul, the writers of The Greatest Showman. We triple dog dare you to get your tickets today. leadcenter.org.
Back to the corner three on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is the Corner 3, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Just got done giving you my list of my top 5 places I would like the NBA Cup Finals to go if it does indeed come to a college arena. I think it'd be a really interesting idea. But we do have to rewind a week here with me now. Not that there's been much turnover, but the Week 6 AP poll, we had the Week 7 one come out on Monday, where Nebraska was the highest ranked it's been this early in a long, long time. Nebraska comes in at number 15. Relevant because top 12 is what you're looking for in the Week 6 AP poll. One of those things that you don't really track if you're not paying attention to it. But if you go all the way back to the 2003-2004 season, so a 20-plus year span, every college basketball national champion has been ranked inside the top 12. And yes, top 12 is maybe a little bit arbitrary. We can narrow this down a little bit. And you can say all but one of the national champions since, again, 2003-2004 has been ranked in the top 10. In fact, the top 9. So the outlier here, the one that pushes it out to number 12, is 2015-16 Villanova, Jay Wright's first title team with the Wildcats. They were ranked number 12. Besides that Wildcats team, the lowest ranked teams in Week 6 to win the title, you're looking at UConn in 2013-14, kind of the miracle run that they made for the second time. They were ranked number 9. Also, last year, Florida was at number 9 in Week 6, and that is the lowest ranked. Then you got to get down all the way to number 7, where you're looking at teams like 05-06 Florida, their first title year. 2010 Duke was number 7 at that point. 2017 North Carolina was number 7, as was 2022 Kansas. So really, you got to be in the top 10. You feel a lot more comfortable if you're inside the top 7. But for the purposes of this exercise, we'll branch it out to top 12 because that's been the stat. In descending order, 12 through 7, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, are at number 12. It's Louisville at number 11, BYU at number 10, Michigan State at number 9, Gonzaga at number 8, and Houston at number 7. As we look at this back half portion of the teams, Alabama, it depends on how hot or cold they are shooting the ball. They're fine defensively, certainly won't overwhelm you by any stretch of the imagination, but we know that on this show, we call Nate Oates the math teacher. He's going to play the math. He's going to play the numbers. If they're shooting it well, great. They have a chance to make a run. Made the Final Four for the first time in program history, or at least got to the doorstep not that long ago. Alabama, 2 weeks ago's poll, now Week 6, was number 12. They're currently number 17 in Ken Pomeroy, the number 2 offense in the sport, an offensive rating of 126.4. The only team better than them in offensive rating is a team we'll touch on here momentarily that's in the top 6 of the Week 6 poll. So number 2 offense for Alabama, but number 68 defense. You know, as far as power conference teams go, that's middle of the pack to mediocre. Not necessarily a death sentence, but Alabama feels like a team that's going to go as far as LeBaron Philon can take them, kind of like Mark Sears not that long ago. In fact, just last year for the Crimson Tide. If he's making shots, if he's playing well, the defense is giving Alabama a chance. They're a tough out because they make the math work in their favor. But it's tough to sustain that over the course of 3 weekends and honestly kind of the grind that the SEC has turned into. So I'm out on Alabama. I don't think they're going to do it. Louisville at number 11 scares me as a fan of a different ACC program because of the guard play. Obviously, Michael Brown, he's been out in spurts, still out right now because of some back injuries and back issues. When he is healthy, dynamic three-level scorer, dynamic creator. You have other pieces around them. Obviously, Ryan Conwell comes to mind. Isaac McNeely can really shoot it. Good enough play in the front court. Ali Khalifa comes to mind. Sanandu Fru as well. Louisville's got a really good roster. Pat Kelsey is a winner. Hasn't necessarily proven it at the highest levels, but an incredible debut season for him at the Ville last year. Everyone's healthy for Louisville. They're scary. Michael Brown remains out. The Cards' ceiling drops significantly. BYU has a top 3 player in the country, and they have a couple role guys around him, that being A.J. DeBonsa. You look at Richie Saunders, who's an upperclassman, played his role. Rob Wright has maybe unlocked the best version of himself after transferring in from Baylor. You get Keba Keita down low as well, and plenty of role guys around them. Everything's clicking for BYU. Again, it looks pretty darn good. Right now, at KenPom, BYU, the number 8 team in the country, number 8 offense and number 14 defense with a 10-1 record. Anytime you can boast the best player on the floor, that certainly raises your team's chances. We've seen what A.J. DeBonsa can do. Second half takeover against Clemson, almost single-handedly willing BYU back into that game and ultimately over the hump. BYU, hard to say they flamed out last year, but certainly did not show as well as you might have expected in the NCAA tournament. Still a little bit more on the table for Kevin Young, but he's got a prospect, the likes of which he hasn't had his hands on since he worked in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns. As we move down the list, Michigan State at number 9. Sparty ranked number 11 in KenPom right now, 10-1. Their only loss at the Breslin Center to Duke. Number 45 offense, number 5 defense. You know the script for Michigan State. Not a great shooting team. If they can hit enough to keep defenses honest, that opens up a lot. Jeremy Fears Jr. seems like he's taken a bit of a leap, especially as a distributor. I still don't think he's on Cassius Winston's level. I think it's really hard to get to Cassius Winston's level, and I think because of the lack of an NBA career for Cash Winston, we skip over just how good he was for Michigan State. I don't think Fears is that. Like I said, the shooting, the 2-guard spot is really questionable for me. Not a huge Cohen Carr guy, and I don't love Michigan State's front court. They do their job well. They run the floor. They rebound, and Kohler, Cooper, and company. I've just never been sold on Michigan State. If the offense doesn't pick it up, if they don't find consistent floor spacing options, their ability to rebound the rock on the offensive side of the ball after missed shots will create extra possessions for them. The way they get out in transition still, despite playing 2 bigs and steal some easy points, is incredible. It's what Tom Izzo teams do. But I don't think this is a Michigan State team that makes it beyond the second weekend. I was a little bit surprised by last year's team. They proved me wrong in some ways, but they had an absolute dynamo in Jace Richardson that could take over games for them offensively. This team grading out better right now than last year's team was, if I'm not mistaken, but I think last year's team had a higher ceiling just because I think of Jace Richardson's ability to score the ball. Gonzaga comes in at number 8. Zags are good. Number 3 in KenPom, 11-1 overall. They are top 10 offensively and defensively. Number 7 offense in the sport. A little surprising it's that low for the Zags, who consistently rank in the top 5 offensively. Slightly surprising. How about this? The Zags, the number 6 defense in the country, a program that's been known for running beautiful offense through the low post, through the high post, through its guards, through its wings. Mark Few has designed a fantastic offense around all sorts of different talented players. Got another good one this year in Huff and EK, obviously, on the inside. Saint-Supri at the point guard position really intrigues me. Tyon Grant-Foster, ruled eligible, can play a big role for Gonzaga as well. About time for the Zags to get over the hump, but I think the team that I would point to as the one that would be my pick from outside the top 6 would be Houston. Battle-tested, been there, done that, 10-1, working through maybe some growing pains on the offensive end where they rank only number 26. Even defensively, all the way down, a calamitous, precipitous free fall for the Cougars, all the way down at number 7 in KenPom's defensive efficiency rating. They'll get it figured out. I'm not sure Houston is better this year than it was last year. That was an old, veteran, tough team. Kelvin Sampson doesn't really rely on freshmen the way he has so far this year. But if Chris Sinak Jr. can take a leap, and especially Kingston Flemings alongside Milo Zuzan in that backcourt, I think that there's a pathway for Houston to go on a run and to win the Big 12 again. They've got some stiff competition at the top of that conference. We already talked about one of those teams in BYU that has the chance to push the Cougars. BYU, kind of ascending to these heights, first and a half, second year at them. Houston's been at or near the top of the sport for a while, still looking for that breakthrough for Kelvin Sampson. Of course, that's last year's national runner-up. They lose it in heartbreaking fashion to the Florida Gators. So that's teams 12 through 7. Now teams 6 through 1. If you go through that list of champions, right, that have been ranked in the top 12 since the 2003-2004 season, you get UConn in the top 5 both of its recent years. Baylor in 21 was number 2. 2019 Virginia, the Revenge Tour was number 6. Nova 2018 was number 1. Duke in 2015 was number 2. Louisville in 2013 was number 6. Kentucky number 3. UConn number 4. Carolina actually in 2009 was number 1. Then you have Kansas and Florida in the top 5 in 07 and 08. And then Carolina and UConn number 5 and number 1, getting us all the way back there to 2004. So this is still the most likely spot for our champion to come from this batch of 6 teams. Again, we'll take them in reverse order, beginning with the best offense in the country by numbers, Purdue. Number 6 in KenPom overall, 10-1. Number 1 offense, an offensive rating of 127.1 through 11 games per Ken Pomeroy, and the number 25 defense in the country. Playing pretty slow, only an adjusted tempo rating of 65.8 possessions per game, which is about 30 spots from the bottom in college hoops. But we know what Purdue's going to do. They'll get out in transition when they can. They'll run everything through the Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Wren pick and roll combination, roll guys on the wings to second side, create and knock down shots, and a bevy of tall dudes. Obviously, Kaufman-Wren, who's a decent rebounder for his size. Maybe the raw number of rebounds stands out, but the rate doesn't necessarily. You get Oscar Clough transferring in, one of my guys, if you go back and listen to previous episodes, was an efficiency darling at South Dakota State. And then Daniel Jacobson suffered an injury last year. That's the over 7-footer that Matt Painter always seems to find and develop. I haven't heard a lot from him in the early going. I'm sure that's a guy that once he gets his legs fully back underneath him, will start rounding into shape into Big Ten play. You know what makes Purdue dangerous? It's the elite offensive sets they run, the way they play on the offensive side of the ball. Last year, the defense got shredded, one of the worst 2-point defenses, even by Purdue standards in recent memories for teams rated as highly as the Boilers were. And again, just haven't had that breakthrough. Made it to the national championship game with Zach Edey and company. Got smoked by UConn in that game. Like Matt Painter, still a guy that's looking to win the big one. Purdue also has that big blemish, 28-point loss to Iowa State at home on its resume. That wasn't Hilton Magic. That was darn near a Mackey miracle for Iowa State. And teams that lose by that much at home hardly ever, if ever, rebound to win the national championship. Purdue is plenty good. They've been there before. Wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world if the Buckeyes buck the trend. The Boilers buck the trend, sorry. But I don't know if I would necessarily count on that to happen. I think there's still too little defensively, even though Braden Smith may be slightly underrated from a steals perspective. I don't think Kaufman-Wren offers much defensively. You can get Purdue's role guys on the defensive end as well. A team that I think has a really good chance to cut down the nets because they're about to be healthy is UConn. They've been down Braylon Mullins. They've been down Terrace Reed. And yet they're still ranked number 5 in the country in last week's AP poll. And you don't have to scroll down very far to find them in KenPom either. They're at number 7. 21st offensively, again, with a lot of moving pieces in and out of the lineup. Number 4 defensively surprises me a little bit. Hurley's obviously been there, done that, won those back-to-back titles. Seems like he's found a better version of himself, if you ask him, which is not great for the sport of college basketball. It needs a villain. It needs Dan Hurley, just completely off the chain, nuts and crazy. But hey, good for Dan Hurley if he thinks he's in a healthier spot. Silas Demery is absolutely intriguing. Solomon Ball, absolutely intriguing. Once UConn gets healthy, I'm curious to see how much resistance the rest of the Big East can provide. St. John's might, but St. John's hasn't exactly overwhelmed or impressed people the way many thought in the preseason. The Big East, to me, without a doubt, is UConn's conference to lose. They got the talent to do it. They got the coach to do it. Let's see what it looks like when everyone gets healthy, or if this is a year where they're just always a little bit off, banged up by some of those injuries. UConn's really good. I'm really fascinated by the Huskies. we mentioned this team just a moment ago, Iowa State, number 4 in the Week 6 AP Top 12. Number 2 team in Ken Palm right now, one of the nation's few remaining unbeaten teams. They currently sit with a plus 33 net rating in Ken Pomeroy, good for number 2 overall. Number 2 defense in the sport. That's what we've come to expect from TJ Otzelberger and his squads. But a number 11 offense that lost some pretty key pieces from last year has been just as good, if not even better, on the offensive end behind Taman Lipsy. You get Joshua Jefferson playing like an All-America candidate. And really, to me, the breakout for Milan Momcilovic, a former high school teammate with one-time Nebraska Cornhusker and now St. Thomas Tommy Nick Janowski. I really have not been impressed with Milan Momcilovic when I've gotten a chance to watch. It's a guy that I hear a lot about. Oh, he's key to Iowa State's success. He's a floor spacer at 6'8". He's a connective piece. He can make the right pass. He'll make the right play. And I'm sure he does. But every time I turn on an Iowa State game, I must just hit all his bad games, or I'm his bad luck charm when I turn on a game. I've seen him play well like once. And it's not to say he doesn't have it in him. Clearly, he does. He's put up good numbers. He's been an integral part of what it is Iowa State wants to do. Sounds like he's found another gear to where he can be more consistent. He's still knocking down shots from the outside. He can play inside out. He can play outside in, whatever it looks like. Very versatile piece that I think a lot of what Iowa State's championship hopes hinge on. We get into the top 3. Fascinating mix of teams. Maybe the 3 best resumes in the sport to this point. Maybe you give Iowa State credit for the best win on the road by 28 in Mackey Arena, but 3, 2, and 1 all have a case for the best resume in the sport, including the Duke Blue Devils. We'll talk about them a little bit more next segment as well. Number 3 in the Week 6 AP poll, have struggled with Lipscomb since then, dropping them down to number 5 in Ken Pomeroy. The offense took a bit of a hit, a very sloppy performance, over 20 turnovers for the Blue Devils in that one, but they're 11-0 with a bevy of impressive wins. Texas to open the season in Charlotte. Okay, leaned Duke's way, but they found a way to get it done despite trailing at half. Kansas down Darren Peterson. Kansas was game. Duke pulls away at the end. Impressive road win for the Blue Devils in East Lansing. They take down Michigan State. The Spartans won. Loss. Obviously, Duke beats Florida at home in there as well. Closer than it should have been. Took some dramatics from Isaiah Evans at the end, but Duke wins that one. Another big test for the Blue Devils as they go to what they lovingly refer to as Cameron North to take on Texas Tech in a marquee non-conference showdown. Won't be the end of the non-conference showdowns of that caliber for Duke. They'll face another team we'll touch on here momentarily. What I like about Duke is Cam Boozer playing like the National Player of the Year favorite. Pat Gungba grades out really well analytically as the big man in the middle. Isaiah Evans can get it going pretty much at any time. We'll see what Duke gets out of the point guard position. Caleb Foster, Caden Boozer, a little bit up and down the wings outside of Evans and Hemania and Sarr, still trying to sort through a little bit of that. Can Malik Brown stay healthy? He and Gungba provide 2 drastically different looks on the defensive end for opponents. If Malik Brown's able to stay healthy, Duke gets anything from the point guard position, and one of those 2 wings in Hemania or Sarr steps up, they bring different strengths to the table that can make Duke better and lean into an identity. Duke also has this going for it. Not only is it in the top 12 and now the top 3 in the Week 6 AP poll that's been so magical for the last 20 plus years, Duke has some history on its side. First and foremost, they beat Mount St. Mary's in the tournament last year. The last 5 times Mount St. Mary's has made the NCAA tournament, the team that beat them went on to win the title the next season. So no, Duke couldn't pay it off in a title last year with the Cooper Flag team, but I think it's Carolina, Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas, and I want to say Villanova all beat Mount St. Mary's in the tournament the year before they won the title. So if you're into sports voodoo and magic right there, there's that. And it's being played in Indianapolis. Duke won its last title in Indy, and the Midwest and Upper Midwest Great Lakes region has been pretty kind to the Blue Devils in the tournament in years past. So there's that working in the Blue Devils' favor. 2 teams that the grade out ahead of them in the Ken Pom ratings are still here on our countdown of the Week 6 top 12, including number 2, Michigan. Far and away the best defense in the sport right now, a defensive rating at Ken Pomeroy of 87.8. That is a 2.7 points clear of the number 2 defense in Iowa State. The Wolverines, the only team with a defensive rating under 90. Offense has been pretty good as well. A rating of 125.2 is 5th in the country for a historically good net rating of 37.4. You're in rarefied air. Last year's Final Four was probably the highest rated on average Ken Pom Final Four ever. All those teams were sitting in the, I think it was the 33 plus range, 34 plus range. Michigan's at 37, which is where last year's Duke squad was. And I think the 01 or the 04 Duke teams were up here in that territory as well. Obviously, not all of them paid it off with a title. Driving the bus for Michigan, a lot of people's pick for National Player of the Year right now would be Axel Lendeberg. Been everything and more for Michigan since he transferred from UAB after testing the NBA draft waters. He's done it all for them, has dominated games. You think about Ade Mara on the inside, and then Merez Johnson Jr., the Illinois transfer. It's been the front court for Michigan. Can they get enough from their guards? I am not an Elliot Cadeau believer. He's been decent enough for them. You look at, Roddy Gale in the mix as well. Numari Burnett, Will Shetter, bunch of interesting role guys. Can they step up? Can Michigan take care of the ball? That's been kind of the bugaboo for them. If they can turn it over, 15% of the time instead of 20% of the time, they'll be fine. And does the outside shooting stay, or does it abandon them at the worst time? Does some team get hot and shoot from over top of that lengthy defense? We've seen that happen in teams before. That's really my holdup with the Wolverines. But number one in the Week 6 AP poll, Arizona. They knock off Florida on opening night. They beat UConn on the road, obviously a shorthanded UConn team. They play pretty well in a couple other marquee wins as well for the Wildcats. UCLA, they win that one by 4. And then you throw the Auburn win and the Alabama win in Birmingham in that mix for Arizona as well. They sit at number 4 in the Ken Pomeroy rankings right now. They're on a 10-game win streak here to start the year. One of, again, the remaining unbeatens. Number 6 offense in the country. Number 9 defense in the country, led by a bruising front court freshman Koa Pete has been everything and more as advertised for the Wildcats. Toby Awaka has been pretty good for them as well. It's been the Jaden Bradley breakout that's gone a long way. They can still get more from Braxton Burries. You also look at a guy like Dwayne Aristote as a freshman. What does he bring to the table? Anthony Del Orso, I believe, still in the fold for the Wildcats. They've got a good mix of youth and veteran presence. They've got a good mix of front court ability in terms of scoring and rebounding with enough stretch ability that the Wildcats are absolutely dangerous. I'm not making any predictions for who ends up cutting down the nets in Indy this year. I would say the numbers would tell you, pick inside the top 12. You're best served by going inside the top 9. But really, the top 6 teams of Arizona, Michigan, Duke, Iowa State, UConn, and Purdue have had enough magic so far that fit the vast majority of the criteria you're looking for in an eventual college basketball national champion. Let's talk about the weekend that's coming up in college hoops. We know it's college football playoff weekend, but here on the Corner 3, we're more interested in the college hoops. We'll break down the weekend, your favorite games to watch, and of course, Nebraska and North Dakota among them. That's how we'll wrap up Corner 3.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Happy holidays, Nebraska. The Christmas event of the year is coming to the Lead Center. A Christmas Story, the musical, with all your favorite funny gags. The Fragile leg lamp, the Red Ryder BB gun, the ridiculous pink bunny suit, and more. All the fun of the movie, now with singing and dancing as seen on Broadway, with music by Pasek and Paul, the writers of The Greatest Showman. We triple dog dare you to get your tickets today. Leadcenter.org.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
When it comes to keeping your equipment running, you've got options at Landmark Implement. Whether you need premium John Deere parts or a more economical solution, A&I Parts from Landmark deliver the dependable performance you can count on with cost savings up to 40%. From filters and bearings to belts and everyday repairs, A&I Parts are built to work as hard as you do while helping stretch your budget further. Stop by your local Landmark Implement parts counter today or shop online anytime at shop.deere.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Are you ready to make a difference this holiday season? Schwezo Construction and TMCO are hosting a diaper drive December 5th through the 19th. They're collecting diapers, pull-ups, and wipes to benefit TMCO Prep Academy, the Nebraska Diaper Bank, and Forward. Drop off your donations at Schwezo Construction, 93.7 The Ticket, Pine Lake Self-Storage, or White Elm Brewery. Together, we care for our community. For more information, please visit Schwezo Construction's website or Facebook page today.
It's basketball season, and Salt Mine City is your pregame and postgame headquarters in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Get ready for the game with their big, fatty 7-ounce hamburger or try a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, your basketball headquarters, now open at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, for brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the Corner 3 on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
That's right. Welcome back in to the Corner 3. I am your host, Austin Oerman. Give me a follow on Twitter at Austin_Oerman. I got to get out of here a little quicker. Nick Sainer wants it for high school hoops. So if you're listening back to the podcast, this will end up being a little bit abbreviated, but for our radio people, it'll make perfect sense. Just going over the schedule for the weekend. We're starting with tomorrow, Saturday's action. The marquee game for me, Duke and Texas Tech from Madison Square Garden. Duke, 8.5-point favorites in that one. These teams matched up in the NCAA tournament not too long ago, a classic battle in the Paulo Banchero year. Duke 11-0, Texas Tech at 8-3. Offense has not been a problem for the Red Raiders this year. The defense has slid a little bit from where you might think of a typical Texas Tech team. The Red Raiders 27th in KenPom, number 16 offense, number 63 defense. So that'll be a 7 o'clock tip from Madison Square Garden. Other top 25 teams in action this weekend. You get number 9, Michigan State and Oakland. Greg Kampe and Tom Izzo facing off for potentially the final time. That'll be at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Spartans obviously rather large favorites. Montana goes to Louisville. The Cards at the KFC Yum Center are 30.5-point favorites. You get to the CBS Sports Classic. No UCLA in this event. St. John's takes the place of the Bruins. They will face Kentucky. It's the Red Storm favored by 3.5 points. Kentucky gets Jaden Quaintance back, one of the projected top defenders in college basketball from his time at Arizona State last year. A one-time Kentucky target, if not commit, ends up going to the Sun Devils and Bobby Hurley before coming to Kentucky. He will make his season debut. Red Storm 7-3, Wildcats at 7-4. That taking place down in Catlanta, as they call it, the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. That'll be the first game. The second game will be a high-powered Ohio State offense against number 12, 10-1 North Carolina. Tar Heels also just 3.5-point favorites in this one. They will get senior Seth Trimble back, probably their best perimeter defender. See how they reintegrate him into the lineup. Sorely needed against an Ohio State team led in the backcourt by Bruce Thornton and John Mobley Jr. 4:30, you get Houston and Arkansas from the Prudential Center in Newark. Houston, number 8 in the country. Arkansas at number 14. Cougs favored by 4.5. Pretty long trip for both of those schools. Kind of surprised we couldn't find a closer neutral site to make that one happen. It would be Maryland and Virginia from JPJ Arena in Charlottesville. Number 23, Virginia, favored by about 17 points in that one. The Indy Classic in Purdue's backyard. Stephen Pearl takes the Auburn Tigers to just outside of West Lafayette in Indianapolis. Gainbridge Fieldhouse will be the host for number 6 Purdue and number 21 Auburn. And a San Diego State team not packing quite the same punch as in years past faces number 1 10-0 Arizona, part of the Hall of Fame series in Phoenix. It is the Wildcats, pretty big favorites in that one. Which brings us to Sunday's slate. Not quite as exciting as Florida and Colgate, Vandy and Wake Forest, Bama, Kennesaw State, Tennessee, Gardner-Webb, Michigan, LaSalle, UConn, DePaul, Iowa State, and the Beach. Interesting one in the Northwest Elite Showdown is what they're calling it in Portland, Oregon. Gonzaga and Oregon Ducks just 6-5 to start off the new year. But of course, all eyes here at home will be on Pinnacle Bank Arena as number 15 Nebraska looks to continue the nation's longest winning streak. Can the Huskers push it to 16 games, move to 12-0 on the season against a 5-9 North Dakota team? This Hawks program has pushed Nebraska before. They're just 1-3 against Nebraska, all the matchups since 2011. But of course, in Fred Hoiberg's first year in Lincoln, North Dakota knocks Nebraska off 75-74 in Lincoln. And then it was a struggle for the Huskers a couple years ago in December of 2023. Nebraska trailed by 10 at the half. A sluggish start to the second half got them down by 13 or 15 points. Huskers do end up coming back to win it 83-75. Similar timing for this game. Again, it was December 20th 2 seasons ago. It'll be December 20th or 21st this season. It's a Sunday game. Christmas break, finals week, all that stuff plays into it. You know, Nebraska's a more talented team. Nebraska's been playing better as of late, but how does Nebraska respond to the time off? How focused are they? This is a North Dakota team that's lost to Alabama, Cal Riverside, and Northridge to start the year. Lost to Creighton by 15 points, lost to Coastal Carolina. But in the Hawks' last game, they actually beat Winthrop, a team that pushed Nebraska. Obviously in Lincoln, North Dakota wins that one, final score of 90-88. So that'll be Sunday night. Always keep it tuned right here after the game. We have post-game coverage brought to you by a bevy of great sponsors. Excited to get their open out to you coming up on Sunday night. It'll be me and Jake Bachhoven with you for that one. That'll do it for this edition of the Corner 3 podcast. I'm going to get out of the way for our radio listeners. We got high school hoops, first game of the season here on the ticket. Nick Sainer standing by, ready to call some in-city high school hoops action. Thanks a ton for listening here to the Corner 3. We'll be back again, probably not next week, given that it will be Christmas. And so with that, look for our first episode back to be after the new year. A very Merry Christmas to you and yours. We'll talk again before then, but if you're just a Corner 3 listener, just know we appreciate you, love you interacting with the show. Thanks as always for listening. A very Merry Christmas to my Corner 3 only listeners. To our ticket listeners, talk to you again soon. But for now, it's Nick Sainer, High School Hoops, next.
At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now through December 21st, Enjoy USDA Choice Boneless Chuck Roast, $7.88 per pound. 85% lean ground beef, $4.99 per pound. USDA Choice Whole Ribeye, $18.99 per pound. 4-pound boxes of snow crab clusters for $64.99. And 1 cent select alcohol items when you buy $50 in seafood. That's all the Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100, or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward.